Steve and Annette Economides were married in 1982, and in just 9 years, on an average income, listen to this, of $35,000, they purchased and paid off their first home. They've paid cash for all of their cars, they've taken wonderful debt-free vacations, and they've put their kids through college without any school loans. Let that sink in for a moment. Steve and Annette are quick to say that anyone can do what they do if we are willing to learn, and it's so good to have you with us. We're glad that you're here. We'll get you on for a couple segments on today's program. We're going to be doing some things in the future with you as well. But that almost sounds like it is too good to be true. I know we're talking about $1982, but still, how is that possible?
It can be done, and you know, a lot of it, gosh, the Lord teaches us in Scripture. It talks a lot about money, actually more about money and possessions than heaven and hell combined. And our key verse in Proverbs 30 talks about feed me with the food that's my portion. And it really comes down to saying, God, what have you given us and what are we supposed to live on? And if he says he's going to provide and we say that's enough, we learn to live on that. And we learned early on about budgeting from Larry Burkett. I mean, just a phenomenal thing. And when we took hold of budgeting, I mean, nothing is impossible when you manage it God's way.
And actually, when we were first married, I wanted to stay home and learn how to keep our home. And I told him I would squeeze our pennies until they begged for mercy. And so we just started out with nothing, and then, you know, becoming frugal became a game. And it was such a fun game that pretty soon we were getting really good at it. So
you know, today with the internet and things, it's so easy to find deals. And one of our philosophies is there's always someone who's getting rid of the very thing you need. Find that person and you'll find a bargain. And you know, I guess you look at it like, we try and live like Warren Buffett. He likes to look around, assess the situation, find the best deal, and purchase. So you're buying high value items for low cost.
So, and you have 5 children now.
we do have 5 children, and they're currently ranging in age from 18 to 29.
Okay, so now I've heard so many parents say it as a single mom. I didn't say this too often because I had to squeeze every penny until it begged for mercy as well. But there are parents who are saying, but I love my kids. I want them to have the very best. I want to give them more things that I did not have. The things that I did not have built character in me.
Absolutely.
And so I just said, okay, well, maybe, you know, I'm wrong here.
Right.
But you're saying not so. You're saying...
Yeah, the more things we give our kids, the more of an entitlement attitude it produces in our kids. And there is something wonderful about working and earning and accomplishing those things for yourself. There's a pride in that that I think is lacking.
A few months ago, we watched the Olympics. And we saw some phenomenal athletes. And I was a competitive gymnast through college. And I can tell you this, my parents did not do the weightlifting for me. And there's something about struggling and setting goals and having to do some heavy lifting that produces character in children and athletes. And if we do the same thing with our children, if we give them the things, that's like us doing the lifting.
Okay, so you mentioned the Olympics, and it is common knowledge, it was in the news that Gabby Douglas, our gymnast, the gold medalist, her mother went into foreclosure paying for Gabby's training.
Right.
How would you have handled that?
There's a story we tell in the book, the MoneySmart Family System. Lauren, I can't remember her last name. She was an Olympic track star. She ran the 100-yard dash, and she was phenomenal. And her mother wanted her to compete.
And she was a single mom.
Single mom, and she rallied friends and relatives around this child, and they supported her and paid for her training. And that would be looking at what you have and saying, God, if this child is meant to do this, show us the way, and wait, and allow that to happen through his hand rather than borrowing. And the question is, do you run to the bank or do you run to the Lord? And I prefer to give him the glory and run to him. And what joy is there in saying, well, I got a loan for that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Couple things here. Your name, Economides. Is that just coincidence? Is that your real name?
We did not change it. It's Economides, and it's Greek, and it's the root is steward, so it means son of the steward.
There you go.
And we're really learning that we're stewards. We're taking care of our possessions. And if you don't believe that you're stewarding money for God, you're stewarding money for the mortgage company, for the electric company, for the gas company. If you don't steward your money correctly, they're going to be kind of upset.
Yeah.
So we're managing our possessions, and hopefully we're doing it in a way that pleases the Lord.
And the title of America's Cheapest Family, when and how and did that come about, and what were kind of maybe the signs that caused that?
We actually got that back in 2003. Locally, we got it from the first news anchor that put us
So
on
it wasn't
local
your kids?
TV.
No.
No. And then we got picked up by Good Morning America, and Charlie Gibson dubbed us America's Cheapest Family. And at first we were like, well, I'm not sure we really like that. But it opened all kinds of doors to get the message of frugality onto national TV and out to the people of America and actually all around the world. We prefer to be called America's Smartest Family, America's Money Smart Family.
Right.
Warren Buffett took that title, so we'll go with the Money Smart Family. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so did you do this? I mean, the 35,000, and I know we're in a second gonna have to come back to break, so you may have to. This may take some time, but $35,000 salary. I remember complaining to God, I simply don't make enough. But I can assure you, I was making more than 35,000. What mindset? How did you how did you get your kids to go along with it? How did you transform their thinking? You know,
That's a great question. And you know what? There's so many resources out there. We live in a big city. Phoenix is the 6th largest city in America. So we just taught our kids different ways to do things. So like, for example, clothes were bought at thrift stores and consignment stores, literally pennies on the dollar. Recreation opportunities abounded for free. You had to do a little bit of research and you had to look for them, but they were there. And so, you know, most people spent money on things like going out to dinner. We just rarely did that. Maybe on vacation or for a special holiday or something.
Or use a coupon.
Right, but most of the time I cooked at home.
But really, the way to live on less is to manage what you do have. So we have a budgeting system, and it's what we teach our kids too.
It begins with the budget.
Exactly. And we start our kids out using envelopes, cash envelopes. So they put the money in the envelopes. They have one for give, save, and spend. Eventually they buy their own clothing. We can talk about that later. They pay for their own camps, their own cars. And by segmenting your money so you can see what you do have to spend, it protects what you don't want to spend.
Right.
So if I know, and most people overspend in the area of food, clothing, and recreation. So if you want to protect your mortgage, you want to protect your car money, put those 3 things, food, clothing, and recreation, in cash. And you're able to protect the rest. It's a matter of putting things in buckets or envelopes to just be able to see what you have and what you don't
We
want
also
to spend.
stayed debt-free. And if you don't have debt payments, because debt actually creates a lower level of living.
Right.
Because you think you can have it now and pay for it later, but if you do that with too many things, all of those payments just eat you alive.
So if we're stewards and we're managing the resources God has given us and we have a need, Lord, our car broke down. Okay, it's going to cost $1,000 to fix it. Well, really, it's your car. How are you going to fix it? And we went for a period of about a month without a car because we didn't have the cash to fix it. And
This is when we were first married.
A friend loaned us their car on the weekend, so we go to church.
And grocery shop, and he rode his bike to work. We lived nearby. But that was when we were earning like $13,000 a year. So, but we survived.
We eventually repaired the car, drove it for another few years, ended up selling it, bought another car for cash. But that was a real time capsule in our life where we realized the body of Christ, friends, can support you through it. And it's not using them, it's giving back and forth and using the resources you have.
Yeah, and it seems like it really, I mean, there has to be a decision when it comes to debt-free living. We're going to live debt-free. We're not going to put anything on plastic or borrow. If the cash isn't there, we'll make do until it is there.
Allow the Lord to provide. There's
Right.
nothing more joyful than seeing that happen.
Wonderful.
And we're not talking blindly just saying, okay, Lord, I'm going to go buy a Maserati because I know you're going to provide. That's not what we're talking about. But when the need comes up, opening our hands and saying, show us how you're going to do it.
Wonderful. We're going to be back in just a moment with more from Steve and Annette, America's Cheapest Family, or, put it this way, the founders of the MoneySmart family system. And we'll get a little into some of the details here and some really interesting things. and welcome back to Harvest. Our guests today are Steve and Annette Economides. They are the authors of the MoneySmart family system. They've been called America's cheapest family, and get both of them on the end of a penny, and pretty soon you'll have a spool of copper wire.
I like that. So now there's another quote you can use.
There you go. That's our contribution to your portfolio today. Tell us a little bit about one thing I'd read about. There's statistics on what it costs to raise a child today, and you've raised 5 children, and they've gone through college without borrowing and getting into debt themselves, and you've been able to pay off and own your own home on a very modest salary. What is that cost, and were you able to tabulate or calculate where you stood in
Absolutely, yeah. Especially for the opening and the closing of this book, we really wanted to have those statistics in there. The USDA says it's going to cost about $260,000 to raise a child from 0 to 17. That doesn't even include college. And
they figure that based on so many square feet in a house, so many cubic inches in a car, so much for food, clothing.
Right.
They've got these numbers that are set up, which probably come out of Washington, D.C., which is one of the most expensive cities to live in.
Right.
So we calculated it exactly the same way. I took their figures and I calculated the size of our house, the size of our cars, all that stuff, and it came out that and it was all in today's dollars, not with inflation adjusted, and it cost us about $60,000 to raise our kids.
Wow.
So $200,000 less.
Yeah.
Now the coolest thing is we really want to encourage parents that we don't look at spending money on our kids as a bad thing.
Right,
We look at spending money as an investment in them.
Right.
And what we're looking for, like any business would do, is we want that money to have a return. And what's the return going to be when we invest in our kids? And so what we decided to do was start to give our kids control of some of that money when they were young. So it started off when they were about 3 to 5 years old, about $2.50 a week, because that's what they could understand and manage. And by giving them that money and telling them they had to divide it up between give, save, and spend. So three categories. We used a 3-part bank.
between 3 and 5. This actually went till 7. We used this from about 5. Actually, 3 years old, they just had one little bank, and then about 5 to 7, they had a 3-part bank.
And so whenever we'd go out shopping, we'd say, let's grab some of your money. So they'd go into the store portion of their bank, and we'd take out the money. Now, their earnings of $2.50 a week didn't entitle them to shop at the mall. Because we want them to spend on their income level, not on ours. And that's a mistake that a lot of parents make, is they say, well, I'm earning good money. I can afford to give this to my child. But what they're doing is they're then locking their child into their lifestyle. And if that child doesn't become the stockbroker that the dad is, what is that going to do to them when they get married later on? So we want to teach our kids to live within their means. So we shopped at garage sales. And the cutest thing is when you have a 5-year-old who wants to buy a toy at a garage sale, and they go up to check out with the person, and they pull the money out of their pocket, they get a better deal.
Get a great
As a matter of
discount.
fact, our kids got handfuls of stuff handed to them. Our littlest daughter wanted some costume jewelry, and the lady was like, here, take all of it, sweetheart. And she gave her like $2,
But they learn to spend within their limit, and as they're faithful in managing a little bit, they start to earn more. So around the age of
8 years
8 or
old.
9,
Then they get envelopes that they write on.
Lean it forward. Yeah, pull it forward.
They get envelopes that they write on, and once again, 3 categories: give, save, and spend. And this is all part of our MoneySmart Kids Kit, available on our website at americascheapestfamily.com. And in order to do the envelopes, they need to have those basic skills like addition, subtraction, percents.
they're learning a lot of math.
So they're keeping their ledger,
Right,
daily
they're
ledger.
keeping a ledger.
They're going to learn how to balance a checkbook, which most people don't like
know.
to do.
Right.
But that's okay. Our kids are learning that. Then when they're age 11, we try and put a reality spin on this. The whole goal of the system and the whole goal of the book is to slowly release real life expenses and experiences to our kids. So by the time they're 18, they're really pretty much, we've cut the cord of financial
I saw
dependence.
some of that. You have rental agreements.
Absolutely.
With the kids?
For,
And
for
what
adult,
age?
young adult children. For
What
young
age?
once they're done with college.
Okay.
So from anywhere from 22 on, if they're still living at home, you have to have clearly communicated expectations.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why, if they're working full time, they shouldn't be paying rent.
Some rent.
A lot
Okay,
of people
so-
think they're raising children. we believe we're raising adults.
Yeah.
From the youngest age, the goal is to release them, to allow them to stand on their own, not to lean on us.
Okay, so all along the way, your kids had to pay for different things in that
Right.
category, in that
Right.
spend category.
Right.
And when I read your comments about braces, I was like, oh, where were they when I needed them? I will never forget this. $7,442.82 is what I spent on my braces and my daughter's braces. So I kind of felt, oh, well, are you saying that I shouldn't have? But you bring clarity to that. You're saying whatever is most important for you, you do without. I'll
Right.
let you say it.
Yeah,
What is it?
basically what we're saying is everybody has different priorities for their money.
Okay.
So as long as you balance your budget every month, you know, you may choose to go to a theme park every year, but you're willing to eat potatoes and beans and rice so that you can do that. Go for it. You know, as long as you're not accruing thousands of dollars in debt every month, I don't care how different our priorities are for how we spend our money.
So in response, I drove a car that cost me $25. It wouldn't back up, but I put the $7,000 something dollars on the
Right.
braces. So you're
Right.
saying there's
You
nothing
look to
wrong
that
with
as an investment.
Right.
Okay.
You know, you need to pray, and we need to pray and ask the Lord what His priorities are for our lives, and it'll bring peace. He gives us wealth, but He doesn't bring stress with it. If we do things what He's calling us to do. Now, teaching our kids to buy their own clothes, some people look at that and go, "Oh, that's just unreasonable," and we go, "No, that's real life." We don't want them to be living our lifestyle
Right.
and what we earn. We want them to learn what they live on what they earn. And so teaching them to shop at thrift stores and consignment stores gives them the freedom to buy what they want. And we don't have the arguments about $200 sneakers. And when it's time for our daughters to go to prom, they don't look for $200 prom gowns. They look for what they can afford. And we didn't bring it, but our daughter Abby bought Jessica McClintock beautiful blue sparkly. She loves sparkles. Anything with sparkles she buys. $7.
It's now right now selling on eBay for $93.
Used.
That very dress.
Yes.
We found it. They find
Right.
phenomenal deals. As our kids get older, we release even more expenses. So they start, if they want to drive, they start paying for their own auto insurance. They can't drive until they have 6 months worth of auto insurance saved.
Wow.
They have to have a part-time job, save the money, then they can drive the family car.
You know, entitlements, even the presidential debates have talked about entitlements are growing in our country. They're not decreasing, they're expanding. And we don't want to raise our kids to think that somebody else is going to take care of them. They need to be working and have some pride in their effort and in their accomplishments.
Wonderful. Wow. We just really scratched the very tip of the surface. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have Steve and Annette back with us on various segments in Harvest. But the book is The MoneySmart Family System, and I see that we've got another one called Cut Your Grocery Bills in Half. And then the tome of America's Cheapest Family gets you right on the money. To connect with Steve and Annette, you can go to americascheapestfamily.com, or you can go to harvest-tv.com, our website, click on Show Info in the menu bar. You find an easy way to connect back to Steve and Annette's site. We've got a lot more coming up on Harvest today. Stay with us.